We all know Justin Timberlake as the seemingly unstoppable prince of pop. But what if I told you that at the absolute peak of his career, he was fighting an unseen battle that nearly brought him to his knees? Let's start with a number. 117 million. That is how many records Justin Timberlake has sold worldwide. It's a huge number, for sure, but it represents something more. It represents a lifetime spent in the public eye, a constant presence on our radios and our screens for decades now. But here's the thing we now know. Behind every single sold-out tour, every iconic performance, and every camera flash, he was hiding a really debilitating private battle, something that no one in the audience could have ever guessed. So, what makes this secret so significant? Well, to really get the weight of it, you have to remember just how long and how intensely he's lived his life under a global microscope. I mean, just look at this timeline. He goes from a Mouseketeer to the frontman of NSYNC, a total global phenomenon. Then he launches a solo career that basically redefines pop music and becomes a legit successful actor. For 3 decades, he wasn't just in the spotlight, he was the spotlight. Now imagine trying to carry a painful secret through all of that. So for years, the show went on. But in the summer of 2025, right as this grueling 2-year world tour was finally coming to an end, he decided it was time. Time to let the world in on what was really going on behind the curtain. He posted this on Instagram, sharing the diagnosis, but he made it super clear. This was not a play for sympathy. It was an attempt to shine a light on a hidden struggle and, connect with the countless other people who were going through the very same. This really shows you the 2 different worlds he was living in. On stage, he would talk about the joy that performing brings me, feeding off that incredible energy from his fans. But behind the scenes, he was dealing with massive nerve pain and a crazy fatigue that, honestly, most of us can't even imagine. So what kind of pressure was he under to just keep going? Get a load of this number, $73.2 million. That's the revenue from just the first leg of his tour. And that number, it isn't really about success. It's about the massive, crushing expectation to deliver a perfect show night after night, all while fighting for his own health. He called the whole experience relentlessly debilitating. And all of a sudden, some past mysteries started to make a lot more sense. Remember those tour dates that got canceled, officially because of flu or bronchitis? Well, his revelation puts all of those events in a completely new and much more painful light. Okay, so to really understand how a single little tick bite can lead to what he called relentless pain, we have to quickly break down what Lyme disease actually is and, how it works. At its most basic level, Lyme disease is a bacterial infection. It's passed on by the bite of an infected tick, which can be as tiny as a poppy seed. So the cause sounds really small, but as we're about to see, the effects are anything but. The disease usually moves in stages. The early signs can look a whole lot like the flu, maybe with that classic bullseye rash you've heard about. But if it's missed, it can turn into something way more serious, attacking the joints, the heart, and, crucially for this story, the nervous system. And that's exactly where that debilitating nerve pain comes from. But what happens if treatment doesn't end the story? This, right here, is the crucial part that seems to explain Timberlake's whole situation. For some people, even after they've taken antibiotics, the symptoms just keep going for months or even years. It's a condition called post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome, or PTLDS. And what are its hallmark symptoms? Nerve pain and fatigue. Sound familiar? And that brings us to the big why. Why did he speak out? This whole revelation wasn't just some personal update. It was a very deliberate choice to turn his private battle into a public call for awareness about these so-called invisible illnesses. He even admitted that he was raised with that classic suck-it-up mentality. Keep your struggles to yourself. But he consciously decided to break that silence, hoping that by being transparent, he could create more connection and maybe a little less judgment for everyone. And as you can see from this list, he is definitely not alone. He's joining other major stars like Justin Bieber, Avril Lavigne, and Shania Twain.
And every single time a star speaks out, it just chips away at the isolation that so many people feel when they're dealing with this misunderstood disease. So in the end, Justin Timberlake's story does a lot more than just pull back the curtain on celebrity life. It's a really powerful reminder that behind any smile, whether it's from a global superstar or, the person sitting right next to you, there can be an unseen battle. And it leaves all of us with a really important question. What struggles are we not seeing in the people all around us? And what would it take to find out?